Hey guys, so just me today. Just having a conversation. There's a paradox, Achilles and the tortoise, by Zeno, and it kind of goes like this. In order for Achilles to beat a tortoise in a race, so they both line up for a race, but the tortoise starts like halfway to the finish line, and Achilles is back here. Okay, so they both start the race. Bam! It goes. Tortoise starts, he's going super slow. Achilles goes super fast. Now, in order for Achilles to pass the tortoise, he's going to first have to get half the distance between him and the tortoise, correct? Yes, obviously. Okay, so he gets half the distance. Now, before he can pass him, he's going to have to get half the distance. And before he can pass him, he's going to have to get half the distance. And by the time he gets half the distance, the tortoise will have moved a little bit. And before he can pass him again, he's going to have to get half the distance, and then half, and then half, and then half. Well, here's the issue. The measurement is ad infinitum, because there's always going to be another half of the distance between him and the tortoise that he has to reach before he can reach the tortoise. But if it's an infinite number of halves, then he can never traverse an infinite number, because that's logically not possible. So logically speaking, Achilles can never overtake the tortoise, and he can never win the race. But we all know that's ridiculous, because he's going to blow right past him and win. So you can have these philosophical, deep thinking arguments, and they can make you think and they can make you stop. But sometimes common sense tells you that something cannot be the case. And this is how I often feel about the Christian God. And I say the Christian God specifically because it's the God I grew up believing in, and it's the one I'm most familiar with. And I'm going to explain my reasoning. There's all these deep philosophical arguments for God, the teleological argument, the argument from entropy, the argument from fine-tuning, the argument from contingency, the cosmological argument. And there's all these deep arguments, right? And there's all these things that apologists use and say and blah, blah, blah. But when you just look at just common sense, I know that was redundant. When you just go by common sense, to me, it just doesn't seem possible. It's like, even if I had no explanation for these arguments, there's no way to explain them, and I couldn't answer them in any way, and they seem to absolutely disprove God's existence, which I don't think is true. Actually, I think there are rebuttals for pretty much all of the philosophical arguments that I've heard. But here's the issue with the Christian God. Common sense tells me this God does not exist. Why do I say that? Because the Christian God, at least the way that I grew up believing, is a God of love. He's a God that wants people to be saved. It's a God that wants people to know He's real, wants to have a relationship with people. Okay? But you walk outside, you look up, you look forward, you look to your sides. Where is He? Well, you can't see Him because He's invisible. Okay. Alright, that's fine. Well, why can't I hear Him? You can't hear Him because he doesn't talk out loud, usually. Okay. But He wants me to know that I'm real. Right now, I don't think He's real. Okay. So if that's the case, and God's all-powerful, He's all-knowing, He knows exactly what would convince me, He's 100% capable of doing what would convince me He's real. Well, then it should be extremely simple. This is why I don't believe this God exists. Because when I call out to Him, hey God, it's Enoch here, I'm doing a YouTube video. If you're real, please come down and show me. Let me know. I'm here, I'm willing to accept that. I'm willing to believe in you. I'm not convinced right now. So please come down and show me that you're real. Do something. You don't even have, whatever you want to do. It's up to you. I'm not making demands. Just do something. Yeah, nothing. That was God's huge opportunity to come prove me wrong. And that would have been really nice if He would. But as per His track record, He did absolutely nothing. So that's why I don't think the Christian God exists. because to me, common sense says that God can't exist. You live through the world. We live in a world where it appears that God does nothing but pretend like he doesn't exist, and then allegedly loves you, and then allegedly is going to torture you if you don't believe in him, when he's a professional hide-and-seek player. He's been hiding, and he won't come out of hiding, at least not for me. So, out of all the arguments and the specificities of the philosophical reasoning, to me it's just common sense is that God cannot exist for the reason I just said. If he wanted people to know he was real, people would know he was real. The fact that this is even a question makes no sense in my mind. No sense whatsoever. Now, the Christian argumentation and rebuttal to that is, or things people would say is, well, he talks to this person, he talks to that person, he revealed himself to them, and that person, he revealed himself to that person, and he did come down to earth in the form of Jesus Christ 2,000 years ago. Well, that doesn't help me. That was thousands of years ago. I live in 2026, in the 21st century. That's not helpful. He revealed himself to this person, that person. Oh, so God shows favoritism, which it repeatedly says in the Bible that God doesn't do, but he reveals himself to this and that person, but not to me and not to millions of others like me who are sincerely unconvinced that the claims made in the Bible are true, that God actually exists. So now we have a huge contradiction right there, because the Bible says one thing and you're saying the other thing. So both can't be true. One of them has to be wrong. So now there's other Christian responses, obviously. Free will. If God came down and revealed himself, you wouldn't have free will. To me, that's absurd, because there's plenty of people in the Bible that didn't follow God and knew very well he existed. The devil knows that God exists and he doesn't follow him. So the idea of if you knew God existed, you wouldn't have free will is completely illogical and nonsensical. Absolutely. It makes no sense. I don't know. It's like Christians just bring that up because they got to have something to grasp at, to try and make it make sense. Because when it comes right down to it, it just makes no sense whatsoever. At least in my mind. But if anyone out there wants to convince me I'm wrong, please do. Because God won't. Because he's too busy pretending like he doesn't exist.